on to the division here that everybody is really interested in.
Yeah, the AFC West. Here we go, Lee.
Here's the burning question. I mean, Kansas City's had a great run. Is a year of change in the weather forecast in the AFC West. Andy Reid has turned that roster over a significant amount, but he's got the trigger guy. Do you know Patrick Mahomes' career record is 64-16 in Kansas City?
Unbelievable.
192 touchdowns, 49 interceptions. And he does it with all types of different guys that Andy Reid plugs in. You know, a year ago this week, we're end of the world. Tyreek Hill's gone. Well, did they raise the trophy?
Yeah,
they sure did. Travis Kelce's a little bit banged up. That's a big issue, but it's not a significant knee injury. It's a bone bruise. They've lost Orlando Brown. They went into the marketplace. They got Tampa Bay's starting left tackle, Donovan Smith. Got a right tackle from the Baltimore Ravens. So that'll be a new group in the offensive front. Pacheco had a great breakout season at running back last season. Kansas City is much better defensively, much more athletic. I think Chris Jones is going to get his money from the Kansas City Chiefs. So he comes in. They've drafted pass rushers 2 years in a row that have really made a difference. And their back seven is much more athletic. They were plotters before. It's really changed in the last year and a half. They added the Charger linebacker, Drew Tranquill. So I think Kansas City is the king until somebody knocks them off. But that somebody could be Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I've said this before. Only statistics over the next 17 weeks will prove me right or prove me wrong. I think this offense could be the equal of Phillip Rivers, LaDainian Tomlinson, Antonio Gates, because you got Justin Herbert, who I think is on the brink of becoming a superstar. Can't be a superstar, though, till he wins a playoff game. Right. Can't be a superstar unless you drag the Bolts maybe towards the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game. That being said, he's done so much statistically. He's got 4 wides. He's got a pass-catching tight end. Looks like they got 3 different types of running backs. And nobody talks about the studs in the offensive line. And those guys, from Slater to Zion Johnson to Corey Linsley to their new right guard to their right tackle, Trey Pippins, who's kind of grown into the position, that's a really good group. So I think collectively, ton of firepower. Flip side, they paid a lot of money to cornerback J.C. Jackson. I mean, he's talked the talk and boasted, I'm back. Well, let me see if you're back, because he wasn't very good last year. He didn't fit that defense at all. And now he's coming off patella knee tendon surgery. Awful lot of young kids at cornerback and slot coverage corner. Can those guys hold up? And do they have enough inside at defensive tackle where they had a lot of injuries? That's a big question. That's the only question mark I have at the Bolts. Kansas City's really good. The Bolts could win 11 games. Can't afford any injuries on the defense. But I think that their persona is, we'll score 42. Well, you may have to score 42 because you got your defense that's got issues. And you're, by the way, you're in the division with Kansas City. Those are the two. Denver, Sean Payton arrives, going to fix Russell Wilson. The one thing he can't fix are the injuries. He went to camp with 5 receivers who had all had skill. He's lost 4 of them, season-ending injuries. He's got one guy, Cortland Sutton. He's got tight ends he can throw to. But when you don't have deep down the field threat, you got a problem. Offensive lines had injuries. Those guys are getting healthy. Although he did sign Matt McGlinchey, the right tackle from the 49ers, is a pretty good player. Defensively, Vic Fangio 2 years ago built a really good defense. Most of that defense is back. A lot of young athletes who can run. To me, they're a little bit of a mystery. You know, what does Payton do to make Russell Wilson different? Wilson's really been dedicated ever since that first speech, I am the law, when Sean Payton told him how it was going to be. So I'll be intrigued to see what Denver becomes. You know, the Raiders just keep changing things, changing parts. This guy, that guy. Raiders are always influenced by the shiny little object out there, so they go get him. Jimmy Garoppolo, good one-loss record, can't stay on the field. Can they keep him on the field? They could be really good if Josh Jacobs, the running back, has what he had last year, which was like 18 all-purpose yards, and you get 1,800. And you got Devontae Adams. You're going to get Hunter Renfrow back healthy. Now they got rid of their tight end, Darren Waller. I don't know what they got in the offensive line. It's kind of a revolving door. I don't know that they've got defensive tackles. They do have Mad Max Crosby and their number 1 draft pick, Tyrell Evans. There's a problem with Chandler Jones off the field. I don't think he's going to be ready to play. Got a great young linebacker, hyperactive Diablo. Went out in the marketplace and rented some veteran corners led by Marcus Peters. I think potentially shiny new objects, maybe some of these guys pan out. But historically, the Raiders' shiny new objects have not panned out. And you got Jimmy G, who's got to stay on the field for them to be competitive. So that's my spin on the AFC West. I guess until you knock the king off the throne, the king is still the king in Kansas City.
Yeah, and I think they're the chief, right? They're the chief of the division. My wife's been watching that quarterback series on Netflix, and they feature Patrick Mahomes, and she's always telling me, I like Patrick, but I don't like his wife or his brother. They're always getting in trouble. But yeah, the mad genius, the super genius, mad genius there, in Andy Reid, he's cooking up new things. Interesting to see all that young talent they brought in. But, with the Chargers, I still have this crazy mixed emotion because on one hand, I don't want them to be great because they abandoned San Diego. But on the other hand, they're a pretty interesting and exciting team to watch. So I'm getting sucked back into following the Chargers. But my emotions are with the Raiders. I mean, that was a team I grew up with in the Ken Stabler and Mark Van Egan days. But, they're going to struggle. But, there'll be somebody, the silver and black always has a little mystique.
You mean the silver and bleak? And you are correct. I should lie on the couch till the psychiatrist comes because I am the one who coined the phrase. I want Justin Herbert to go 17-0, but I want Dean Spanos to go 0-17 for what he did to 55 years of loyalty in our NFL community. So that's a look at the AFC West. Hey, we